Okay, DK here with Mr. V Amps. New project today. We have our purple pedal, which is a Aliexpress booster kit. And sitting next to it is an MXR micro amp. That's a very common boost pedal, right? That one, the MXR, costs about $70-ish, if I remember. And the Aliexpress kit's like a $19, $20 kit. And they both boost, so we'll just take our clean signal. Let's tune our guitar. That would be smart. That's better. Okay, I cheat. This is a Gibson with that automatic tuning system. It does work, people. You just have to learn how to use it. Okay. Clean signal. So we definitely get some boost there, and I tried to set the volume roughly the same on the MXR, so. So yeah, it works. I don't see that it's a major tone altering pedal. But I did notice kind of an anomaly. When you do turn the volume, you do get a little bit of a crackly. I know of a famous booster pedal that makes crackle noises when you turn the knob, but that's okay. I don't know if that's what this is. It could be. This has more parts in it, though, than that one. And by the way, how can they sell that thing for like $400 when it doesn't have hardly any parts in it? The one thing I think is the most interesting is I'm just going to strike a chord. And I'll just try to let it, well, I'm going to need to find something. I'll just have to play my strings open because I need a hand. I'm going to turn it up. And the volume swells up after you turn the knob, which I guess it's a capacitor loading up or something, I'm not sure, but. We have no problem overdriving my amplifier, so that was one of my favorite sounds. I used to take the MXR all the time and just use it to overdrive my amplifier, and I loved it. And the Ali pedal seems to work just as well. I mean, I don't see that it's a big tone difference. Let's try this at about there and this at about there. Let's see if we hear much difference in tone again. So just give it one chord. Well, I don't hear that it had a major effect on the tone, just the volume level, so it works. It's a win. If you want to watch this thing getting built, that's great. There was one faux pas that was totally my fault, but they've made a couple changes to the kit. I liked it. This is a pretty straightforward build. If you want to start building Ali pedals, this is a good one to start with. I like it. It's not too many components. There's not a lot of stuff to smash in the box. I should have bought this earlier just because it's super cool. Now granted, if I already own that one, why do I need this one? Well, I like to build stuff, but truthfully, had I thought about it, I would have much rather built this than buy that, because you could build 3.5 of these for what you can buy that one for. No insult to you guys at MXR. I mean, I would be willing to build and sell these to you if you wanted to buy them. Let's see if we can turn up the volume with our foot. Maybe? Can we? Can I? Huh? Probably not. Okay. This is turning into an awful demo. works fine as far as I can tell. So for the money, they're a great pedal. If you want to go to MrVamps.com if you'd like some help getting one of these built yourself, or if you want me to build it for you, I'm glad to do it. I'm trying to be very affordable on this stuff. I just enjoy doing it. That's all I have to say about that. Stick around if you want to move on to the part where we actually build this thing. And I barbecue the switch with my soldering iron. Shh, don't tell anybody. Okay, good evening and welcome to my channel again. We got a new shipment of Ali kits here. And they've changed a few things up since the last order, which is like, what, a month? 2 weeks? 3 weeks? I don't know. Whatever. But, this is a DIY boost kit. I'm assuming this is kind of akin to like a micro amp. It doesn't have any labeling on the box, but it is a cool purple sparkle color. Kind of hard to tell in the picture sometime, but that is a pretty cool looking finish. Very sparkly. And not a ton of parts on this, just a short handful. Again, it's just a straight sound boost, volume boost. And it's got the kind of board I like. Very sparse board, but that should solder up very easily. Got the normal jacks and things like you see. But instead of shipping the wire on a spindle, they're just shipping shorts of wire. They're probably too long, but they're different colors now, so that's convenient. That's nice. Thank you. So, improvement. Good job, guys. Okay, so like anything else, there's pretty much nothing other than one sheet that shows you stuff, pictures. So you get a picture and a list of the board and where things go, and the things on the board appear to be pretty well marked as is. So this should go really fast, and we'll even see. Maybe we can do a one-take video. We'll see. And hopefully I won't cut myself. There's our damage from our wah pedal. Yeah, we were adjusting something and our hand slipped and I cut myself on the aluminium edge. And yes, I'm from the United States and I still say aluminium, probably just because I like it better. There are a lot of international words that are better than the US English words. Like if we need to go up in a building, it makes sense to say it's easier to take the lift than it would be to say take the elevator. So I do use some other UK or international words, and I actually like saying solder better than I do solder. So, go figure. Anyway, let's take our things out of the box and have a look at what we have. Okay, so I've got some resistors. That's kind of a given. Looks like we've got 2 diodes. Let's see, 1N, 148, so those are probably, they look like Zeners to me. I'll look them up and find out what they are. A couple of capacitors. This should go really fast. So let's do our resistors first, starting with 10K, which I can see right here. This might be the fastest build ever. So when we get to the demo section, believe it or not, even though I'm Mr. Ultimate Do-It-Yourself, I probably have a 10, 15-year-old is it MXR? MXR micro amp. Yeah, just their straight boost pedal, which is probably one of the most popular boost pedals. So we'll do a side by side. That'll be fun. And we'll see if this one does better, because the MXR, this is 47R, so 47 ohms. We'll see if this one does just as well, because the MXR is what, about 60 to 70 US dollars, and this kit is around 20 US dollars, and that includes your shipping. So far I've been able to get all of these Ali kits working with one exception. There was one kit called OD, or Overdrive number 3. I could not get that to work. I actually contacted them, and they did try to help. They sent some pictures along and things like that, and I've tested a bunch of stuff and put it back together and taken it back apart and putting it together and taking it apart. And at some point, obviously that's not going to really help y'all on YouTube anyway, because that kit's discontinued. You won't be able to buy it anyway. But it was one of the earlier style kits with a circuit board in there that wasn't that great of a style. Very inconvenient one to work on. If it would have sounded like $1,000,000, I would have loved it. But to be honest with you, that overdrive number 1, that one sounds really good. I like that one a lot. So not like I got hosed. And we do have overdrive number 2 in the kitty to build very soon. That's in my box of stuff, as well as one other overdrive that shall remain nameless for now. We'll give it a name in a while. I name all my stuff eventually when I feel like it. So that says 5K1, so it's a 5.1K. What's interesting is building stuff like this, you tend to have more time in assembling it than you actually do in soldering the board. Sometimes the mechanical fidgetiness of it. But once you get through the first one, maybe the first 2 if you build 2 of them, then you really get the feel for it and you can just crank these things through. So, okay, we're getting pretty close here. And we got one more resistor, and this should be, what, the 100K? Yep, 100K. Okay. I didn't see any revisions or notes or anything on these, and like I say, the later Ali kits here, they're progressively getting better. I can see that they're getting better. I know the vendor, the one fellow over there who ships them, has seen my videos. I'm not sponsored or anything. I've paid for every one of these kits that we've gotten, and we don't have to solder with a potato anymore. We've got a nice Weller iron here. Pretty decent iron. Not the greatest, most luxurious model they sell, but it's not bad. And we've got a nice narrow tip. What I will tell you is, over the potato soldering iron we were using for a long time, the tips on this are much more durable and a much finer point. So making a perfect little solder joint is a lot easier with this one. If all you have to solder with is a potato, by all means, solder on, friends. Okay. I soldered a lot of things with that potato soldering iron, and I think it only cost like $15 or something. Yeah, that already looks a million times better than when I would solder it with the potato. So, great. Resistors are in, and we could use our, at least a sharp cutter, but ooh, now we got the super deluxe cutter now, the flush cut. So, we're moving up in the world, people. This channel's going deluxe on you. And a bunch of you electronics guys, if you are electronics guys, you're all laughing. You're like, this guy sits here and makes guitar electronics with a potato, and what kind of junk tools does this nut job have? But you know, we make it work, right? Key thing is it has to work. If it works, and it works reliably, who cares if you solder it with a potato or not? Okay, so got a little bit generous on a few of the solder joints, but that's better to be a little generous than a little stingy. And everything appears to have good adhesion. Don't see any mistakes there. So on to capacitors and Zeners, because this is going to go really fast. There's not much to this. So here's a diode. Observe where the black line goes. Flip the black line where the mark is here. Got two of them to put in. One. And two. Yeah, I'm really appreciative that we have colorful wire. I actually do have quite a few pieces of colorful wire left over from the Velleman optical tremolo, because they give you kind of long wires and then they have you cut them all much shorter. So I have quite a few nice strands of colorful wire that we got from that kit. But when I build these, I like to build them with whatever was supplied, even, you know, if I can. Only if I have to go to my own stash do I do that. And I can argue I do that for you, the people, or whatever. But I want to try to, you know, represent what building this thing is like in reality for John Q. Person who bought the thing. So. Okay. And two Zener diodes are soldered in. That up a little bit. There we go. That's another little trick I use sometimes. The solder will run to heat, so if I get a little bit too much on a pad, I'll just kind of run the iron up the pad, or up the lead that's going to get clipped, and then it'll pull some of that up away. Get a little bit better looking joint. That ain't bad at all. Alright, good progress. Man, the bottom of that board is much less nasty scratchy with the better cutters. Oh, when somebody gets that excited about a pair of cutters and a basic soldering rig, you know we were soldering with crap before, but you know, you do what you gotta do. Okay, so capacitor 104, that would be this one right here. It's a polyprop of some sort. And then we have two electrolytics here. We have the large electrolytic, which is 100 microfarad, which I'm trying to read this to make sure it actually is 100 microfarad. It is. Plus goes to this side, so negative lead, go to that side. Come on, lay down. Let's see. Now I'm trying to think just in terms of height. When I put that on there, yeah, that's going to clear. So, and the audio jacks are going to be like back here, so no clearance issues. If the capacitor was back in this area, we would fold it over halfway, so it wouldn't be a clearance issue. And then the other cap is a 10 microfarad, which is this one. What kind of caps did they send us this time? Sometimes they send us some like Rubicons. So these are KMG, whatever that is. This is probably such an easy kit, and these little volume boosters, if it sounds good, they're one of the most useful, simple things to have in your pedal chain. If you have a genuine tube amp, you can overdrive it very easily with one of these, and it's great. That was how I used to overdrive my tube amp a long time ago when I had less volume restrictions. And if you can crank your tube amp up, my favorite sound is a 6V6 tube amp with push-pull 6V6s, so 18 watts-ish, being beaten up by a Just a volume drive pedal. Loved that sound. It sounded so good. When I was done, I was nearly deaf in my left ear for an hour or so. That was dumb, so don't do that again without hearing protection, because Carmine Appice, fantastic drummer, nice person, will tell you if you don't remember to wear your ear condoms, you will get hearing aids. Okay, so our transistor here is BS170. BS170. BS or B5? Well, what? Maybe it's B5. I don't know. It's either B5170 or BS170. I'm going to assume that the polarity is right. Usually on these they put some kind of indicator on their website if the polarity is backwards on the board. But all the new style boards, I haven't had the backwardsy issues with them. Except that stupid tremolo was one of them that had backwardsy issues on it. That was another one that didn't work initially out of the gate. I would normally try to push this even farther down in, but we're already below the caps, so we're good there. Tack this in. We got pretty decent adhesion there. Just give that little touch. Yeah. All right. Cool. So now we have the LED, which they have decided to mount way up here, so we have to go from here up to there. So that's a little long, a little bit, but there's so much real estate in this thing. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? What do we do, people? Yeah, I'm going to ride with it. We're going to ride with it. We're going to leave that length the same. Take our LED, pull it out of the holster, and okay. So, that's weird. It's got kind of a hitch in one of the sides there. That would make sense that it would have a hitch if it had to, like, if we were mounting it down here and it needed to stop at a certain height, that would be perfect to put the hitch in it. But it's going way to the top, so that hitch doesn't make any sense. So the shorter lead is the minus. We're going to give that a big sprawl like that. I think these wires are even pre-tinned. They are. How cool is that? Thank you, guys. You guys are making my life so much easier today. What in the world? Could it be that a vendor actually listens to what whiny, complainy technicians like myself actually have to say about something? And because we have wires of various colors, I don't need to try to use some kind of silly, hitchy technique to remember which one's the negative and positive. I can just use black and red wires. This is great. Alright. Alright, that seems to have actually mechanically crimped down pretty well. Let it bend. Make a little U shape. solder that. How'd we do? Seems pretty darn well attached to me, so that's good. That's what it has to be. It just has to be attached, right? Alright, so clip that. There we go. Yeah, if they didn't make any mistakes on this pedal, this thing's going to be done in record time, and we're going to be overdriving 2 amps just for fun with this in record time. Alright. Wires. Those wires are a little flexible. That makes me a little nervy on how we're going to solder this. So we'll try to solder this backwards. Meaning we just load the tip up with a little solder and give it a touch. And see if she bonds. And it does. We got a little bit of insulation wrinkle on the other side because this insulation on the wires loves to be melty when it gets hot. I'll watch for that. A little solder. So we can get her to melt. Yep. Both of those are bonded and I can't pull them back out even though I'm trying. Yeah, I can't pull them out. A little bit more wire through there than we wanted to, so we'll just clip the excess. Sometimes that actually works to the advantage. When you touch that up, the insulation for the wire kind of gets melty and makes a little splat there. You know, make sure the insulation is flush to the board. So this particular wire they shipped is not as heat resistant as I wish it was, but it's got colors, so that's pretty cool. Okay, so battery snap on this, they're going to, usually that's what this is for, as I've seen in a few other pedals recently. Go down, and back up. And I'm actually looking like a confident builder. I just finished that Watts of Law, and you saw I spent several hours on it. I think my video was an hour long, and that excluded a lot of time working on it, and then I had to go back and fix a faux pas or two, and it drives me nuts when people have a 5-minute video on let's build this, and then in time lapse they're done and it works perfectly the first time, and it's like I don't know if you're an everyday person, because I can think of many people who do this stuff more often or have been doing it for more years than me, and they have some things sometimes that don't work right the first time. It's like some of us, I don't know, just the illusion that everything's perfect and we're all perfect. I don't like that. I kind of like being, I don't want to go to electro boom levels of oopses and glitches, but at the same time I don't think I need to carry on a facade that everything I do is perfect the first time. If I have a frustration, maybe that frustration will help you, to help the person who comes after me and wants to build this. You can learn from me. It's like that tremolo that didn't work. You know, I was able to go back and find why my tremolo didn't work and tell you why it didn't work, and it was because there was a boo-boo in the instructions, right? Alright. So we can leave a little bit of a hitch in this if we want to, so we don't have as much real estate down to the battery clip. Whatever. We're going to use the pedal power supply on this anyway. I don't plan to use this one by itself. Okay, so this would be our in jack and our out jacks. And I don't want to use the full length of wire there, and then we have our 9-volt in, ground, in tip, out tip. So wait, PWC in ring, that's power, never mind. I've done this before. Okay. So jacks. Everybody loves jacks. Okay. Tip ring sleeve. Right? Yeah, tip ring sleeve. So let's just put the appropriate color wires on them and then we'll trim them back a little bit. So tip will be red. That makes sense to me. Red for tip. And we're putting the switch on the input jack, not the output jack. So that'll be tip. Hope this is still in the frame. I only set the camera once. So there's tip. Not bad. This wire is a nice gauge to work with. It's very flexible, very soft. This is what I want to see in these kits. And like I say, I swear Buddy's been listening to me. Maybe he saw my username come across on the order and he's like, oh, I bet that Yo-Yo is going to build these on YouTube. But I don't necessarily expect to be sponsored. The last thing I want is for your price as an end user to go up to $100 because they're sending them to me for free. If they wanted to send me kits for free, though, I'd be glad to build them. Anybody who wants to send me stuff to build, go ahead and send it to me, and I'll try to build it right on this channel. I'm generous like that. Okay, so that looks okay. And what do we have? We have in, ground, and the ring would go over there. So in and ground are close, so we'll shorten those up to half. There we go. And then this one will leave an extra that much on it. And let's see, can I strip this with just a pinch? Oh, yes I can. Nice soft insulation, strips of a pinch. How beautiful is that? Alright, good. Clean the crud off the iron. Tin. It's funny, when the workpiece is cooperating, I look a lot more professional than when I do when I'm not. Or when the workpiece isn't cooperating. Okay. So, this is tip in. And this is ground. So that's all good. Those in first, and we'll solder those before we do the ring. Hopefully we didn't have a ton of insulation running away with us on the other side. Nope, we worked fast enough. And then that's PWC in ring. Yeah, this is good. We got enough room. Right. Do this one. Okay. I promise to be honest. If this doesn't work the first time, I will come back and tell you why it didn't work or what I discovered about it that made it not work. Okay, and then we have to do the output jack, which will be here and there, and PWB is going to the power jack, right? Okay, so let's get the output jack here, and the input-output jack are the same thing. They're the same piece anyway. So we'll do a red and a... Oh wait, do I have... Where's the scraps? Is that enough for that? Yes. Yes, that's enough wire for this. So we'll reuse this wire end, which is already tinned. That saves more supply for the next project. Whatever that project may be. Should we have more projects here? So there's tip. And if you're having trouble seeing tip ring sleeve on these model connectors, which I did initially, I actually went and got a 1/4 inch connector and plugged it in so I could take a look at it and see. Never hurts. And then the ring is going to be on the angle with the knocked off corner there. I do try to bend these around and make a bit of a mechanical connection before I solder them. This wire is soft enough that I can do it without tools. That's kind of neat. Okay, so we were a little generous with the solder on this one. A little bit ran up there, but that hurts absolutely nothing. Better to be a little generous with the solder. As long as you're not making bridges and blobs, it's better to be a little more generous than to be a little too stingy. I've actually seen people that built tube amps that were very stingy on the solder. I mean, the work was artistic. I mean, it was just beautifully done. They were a little stingy on the solder, and it's like, oh my gosh, you know, this is going to be a vacuum tube amp that's going to be, you know, carried around by musicians. And if your soldering link is very, very thin, is it possible that a drop or a shake could mess up your amplifier? And that concerns me. So I want to make sure we make a good connection for the sake of the durability of it all. Okay? So there we go. Pretty good. No big giant exposed wire or anything on the other side. Yeah, so now all we have to do yet is the foot switch and the power jack. And we're going to do the foot switch before the power jack because the power jack has the rolly nut on the inside, so that's going to have to be mounted in the container before So foot switch goes on the side with all the components. And we'll do the thing that we do where we tack a couple corners in first, so we make sure it's flush on our board. Tack that corner good. Hope it tacks good. Tack down, please. Yeah, see, and I ended up getting her in a wonky angle, so it's good that we're doing this way. That way I can press it down and get it nice and flush on both sides. Yeah. Okay. Let's try to hold it that way. Maybe we'll get it feeling better that way. Okay. Oh, I look on the other corner. It's weird. It's like it wants to... Oh, great. Okay, stand by. Okay, so in the process of monkeying with it, looks like that got a little too toasty and it popped out of where it was glued. So extra hot soldering irons can be a problem. Now it's possible that that'll sit back in there. We'll test it. Or it's possible I might just want to grab a heavier duty switch out of my bin of things. Let's put that back down there all the way. This is just a switch, so it's distinctly possible that that's a faux pas we can get past. Let's put the meter on this and see. Stand by. Okay, so I push that back down to where it goes, and sure enough, she makes continuity. And then when we click our foot switch to the other way, it unmakes continuity. So that just sits in there, and it was epoxied in there, that red colored epoxy. See, now we're on this side. Now we flip over here. So it works. It's just held in by that red epoxy, and apparently the heat made that let go. So what we'll do is we'll solder that corner last. We'll try to go quick on it. But we'll put a drop of super glue on that and resolder up, and I think we'll be alright. So we'll get the super glue, do that, and then we'll solder this in here. I think we salvaged it. I do have more of these in the bin if I absolutely needed one. Okay, so I flipped it around. The repaired corner is over here, and we should be okay. We're going to save that one to last to solder. And then we'll check it again with the meter and make sure we're fine. But since those are just inserted and epoxied in there from the factory anyway, and they usually last eons that way, we'll just pretend that didn't happen. Because this is for my personal use. So if it fails, I will know exactly why it failed, and I can just go back and deal with it. But if this was for somebody else, we would go into the bin and get the replacement switch, because I do have them. But since this is an experiment, and it's possible that when we're done with this, we're going to say, I don't know why I built this in the first place, which I can actually say for the most part is not the case with these alley kits. It's all been pretty good sounding little beasties when we finish them. Make sure that's really soldered in good. Trying to be generous enough and still be slow enough that we're not barbecuing our stuff. This foot switch is what's going to take the majority of the stress of on anything on this thing, so we want to make sure that that is really soldered good. So I was plenty generous, and it's flush and straight and all that stuff. So we'll try our continuity beeper again and see how we do. So this is basically a 3-pull, 3-throw, so I don't know which position it's in now. Okay, so it's not in that position. Should be, these two should conduct. And they don't. What? Wait, I'm backwards. It's gonna slip slap one this way, back forth. Should be, no, it's not on these two, so it should be these. Oh, come on, switch. Oh wait, that's the stupid meter. The stupid beeper on this meter is goofy. Okay. Which one's contiguous? Okay, there we go. The rosin from the solder is being a problem. So this pin should conduct to that pin, but not this pin. Right? And this pin should conduct to that pin, which it does, but not to this pin. And this one should go to there, but not here yet. And we'll slap the switch. And now we should have from here to here. Do from these two. Not to that one, so that repaired pin is being a bum. Yep. So repaired pin is a fail. We'll desolder this and replace this switch. Oops. Okay, boys and girls, so after wrestling the kit's switch out of here because it melted, I went in my bin of crap and found this switch, which is significantly heavier duty. I don't know if this is the military spec or what. But I've got these holes cleaned out pretty good on the board, so that should be pretty much a straightforward drop in. I might have to warm up a couple, like this one hole. Looks like it's got a little bit of solder in it. So warm up just this hole and see if that'll drop in. Come on, man. There we go. That's good there. I'm going to warm up over here and see if that'll drop down. Yeah, looks good. Back in a minute. Okay, I just got summoned. So we're going to solder this on, and then we're going to go get food. Yay, food. So, apparently, whichever switch they ship with this particular kit, it's a little bit more heat sensitive than I remembered, but that's okay. I unfortunately had another one. This is a little bit heavier dutier one, but it'll be the first time I've melted a switch. And I was talking about how this kit's going so quick and so easy. Let's see if we can get a whole kit done without any airs on it. Ha! Fat chance, buddy. Alright. Fortunately, I think I was able to get it out of here okay without damaging anything. So. Looks okay to me. Maybe clean a little bit of the rosin off of that, but in that, I think we're good. Don't touch it when it's hot, stupid. Yeah, as far as heights go and size goes, that's a dead-on size match. Let's see. Yeah, that's a perfect replacement. Let's make sure this one works, though. So, let's go to BP mode again. Okay. Come on, play ball with me. This is just not feeling like being a good BP little switch today. There we go. That's the one that wouldn't beep before. When you solder these, sometimes the rosin buildup on here makes the continuity meter a little finicky because it's stupid and junky and cheap. But anyway, we're in good shape now, so we will put in the power jack and then call it a win. But this makes me sad. But then again, screwing up is part of doing this, right? Okay. See you in a little bit. Okay, so I think I was on camera when I soldered that down. I don't know. It's like 15 minutes later or something, I went and got food. So, I think we're okay there. It's the first time I've ever barbecued a switch on camera. That was dumb. I hate when stuff like that happens. But, hey, it is what it is. Okay, so now we have the pot, which is a gain pot, and we have to solder to pins 2 and 3, which are these two over here. It's very clearly marked here, gain 2 and 3, so that's kind of cool. Let's see if our soldering iron's up to temperature yet. Appears to be. Okay. Try to just tin these leads first. That worked out pretty well. And since these are already tinned, this will make life a lot easier. So pin 3. Let's do an improvised vise. There we go. It's our official MacGyver vise. That's how we roll down here in the shop. Not as flat as I wish it was. So put that back in our improvised vise and fix it. I'm more better with that one. And then we got to do the second one here. quick look and make sure everything is down there good. Ain't going anywhere. Nope. And since this doesn't have to go that far, shorten it up a bit. Half. Strip these two. Tin them. Got a stray flyaway on this one. Let's drag. If we can't fix that. That looks good. Okay. So gain 3 is the white wire in this case. So 3 is going to go here and 2 is going to go there. 3. 2. And apparently I tinned my wire a little bit more than it needed to be because I just didn't want to slip through the hole, but I got it. So do here on the other side. Yeah, it looks fine. Cool. And no real mess there. Okay. And then on to the power jack. So we'll put that in the case. This one's going to be so much easier because there's not that much stuff to shove into the case. That metal nut on this plastic is going slow. It's like it got on there crooked to start with and it doesn't want to walk off. There it goes. Now it's going straight on the threads. Okay, so it's going to go down here. What am I doing? I got a great idea. Let's put it on backwards so we can curse the sky again and then go back and do it again. That's a great idea. Let's do that. This is an electronics hobby channel. It's not a comedy channel. But sometimes watching me, I swear, if I feel like it could be a comedy channel. Not that I want to make it a comedy channel, but because I screw up just enough. But you know what? That's okay. I don't want to make anybody necessarily think I'm a super electronics genius, because I'm not, and there's a lot of other guys. I'll actually give the guy a prop. His name is Jim. I think I've mentioned him before. His name's Jim Lindenus. Jim Lindenus, maybe? I gotta remember how to pronounce it, but he's a Canadian fella who's fixing antique radios. I'm only rotating this just because I want this to kind of go to the bottom, so it's just less wire sticking up high. So let's rotate that. That looks good. I like that there. And we got to tack 3 wires on. So the center pin is going to be going to PWC, which will actually be, these are pin negative, so I'll put a black wire on there, just so I think in terms of, is usually use what, black wires for negative and red wires for positive. That's normal, right? Guess so. But anyway, I mentioned Jim's YouTube channel, and he is fixing antique radios, and he does everything in real time. He just turns on the channel, or turns on the camera, and goes to work, and what happens, happens. And sometimes there is frustration, thinking out loud, wondering to ourselves why this isn't working, and all of that stuff. So I'm at least appreciative that there's other YouTubers out there that make their videos or allow their videos to show kind of what really happens in a shop, you know, as opposed to I probably could have easily just edited out the clip where we had the faux pas with the switch and pretended that it never happened, because my new switch looks enough like my old switch that I burn up. But yep. Let's make a little J-hook there. My job is to build things that work, not necessarily to be perfection all the time. And you know, the more I do this, the more I play with it, the more I fiddle around with it, the better I'm going to get at it. So it's got to be the right attitude to have. I unfortunately was not in a good way when we were doing the wah pedal. I was just kind of frustrated with a lot of things and wasn't really thinking as clearly as I should have been. So, but you know what? It's done and it works, and that made me feel better, so I started working on this. It gives me something else to mess up, right? Come on. Did you at least tack on there for me? You did. Beautiful. Okay. I'm going to re-tin our tip before we put it back in the soldering iron. I got to get in the habit of doing that, because it's a good habit to have. Keeps corrosion off the tip of your soldering iron. Okay, technically these really don't need to be that long, but I kind of like that they are, but we'll shorten them up just a little bit to keep things neat. So we'll say take that much off and live to regret it later. Alright, strip them. I can finger strip this wire. I don't like that this wire is a little heat sensitive, so I gotta go faster with it, but that's okay. That's another thing, I say that all the time, but that's okay, but that's okay, that's okay, whatever. Okay, let's actually wait for that to cool before we knock it off of our enclosure. Okay. So we have the black lead's going to go to ground. We've established that. The red lead is this one. The red lead is going to go to 9V, so there's 9 volt right there. Actually, before we do that, let's just take this spinner off. Let's take these nuts out of here and move them so they're not in my way. Let's take these off too, because we're going to be wanting to stuff this in the box momentarily. And the only other thing I do, and I think I may have explained it or shown, we want to make sure that we cover the bottom of our circuit board so that it can't ground out against the bottom of our cover plate. So what some people do is they'll cut a thin piece of plastic, or you could cover it with electrical tape or whatever you want to do. I'm going to use electrical tape in this case just because it's sitting here on the bench. Oh, darn, this wire didn't get tinned well enough. It's not all staying together. Okay, we can fix that. Hopefully that's not too much, because too much will make it not want to go through the hole. And it is a little too much because it doesn't want to go through the hole. I got an idea. It's probably... Let's see. Let's just see. Let's try to help it by applying just a little heat. Just a little. That got it through the hole all right. There's still a little bit of clearance on the other side, a little bit of exposed wire, but it's not enough to constitute anything, and there's no way that that's going to short out on anything, so we'll call it good and solder that one. There's no stray loose wires or anything sticking out. That's okay. Now I have to do the black one to ground and then the white one to PWB. So it looks like PWB is going to be a harder reach, I guess would be the right word. Flip it over this way. And of course, I got a little bit of a showy tip there that doesn't want to go through the hole. Let's try this. That's good. That went right in. Okay. Oh, come on, man. There we go. And then the ground, which there's a couple of ones I could pick up on. If you're doing this at home, don't make those wires quite as short as I did, unless you're an expert. And expert coming from Latin, ex meaning has been, and a spurt being a drip under pressure. And do not forget, like I did, we're going to want to put the LEDs little cap thing in there first, because I don't want to stuff this board in there and put the LED in it. And it's going to be a drag if I don't have to do that. And I should take the nuts off of the pot too. I'll do that in a second. Come on, go on there. Go on there. Come on. I think that's in there snug. That one being so tight there, it's very difficult to get a wrench or a socket or anything on there, so tightening that with the pliers makes kind of the best sense, I suppose. As good sense as it's going to make anyway. As good sense as I make. Do I make sense? I don't think so. There's a ground. Wait, that doesn't go to ground. This goes to PW. Hold on. One goes to PWB, which I already... Ugh. Did I bodge this? No. No, did not bodge this. The white wire goes to PWB, and then PWC, this wire does not go to ground. This goes to the PWC on the input jack. So that's going to go to this one right there. Okay. And I know it's the input jack because it has 3 leads on it. Okay. And the view probably is crap, and everybody's going, I can't see what you're doing. I'm going to tack that on the input jack. And just, all those wires are pretty well tinned, so I'm going to hope it's going to just touch and stick. Touch, did we stick? Yeah, we did. We stuck, because I can't pull that off of there with my fingers. So if I can't pull it off with my fingers, we're going to call it good. And the input jack is going to go on, this is the in, so the in is going to go on this side, and then the out's going to go over there. So that's kind of normal for stomp boxes. So now we got to finagle everything into position. This off of there. So this is the fun part, stuffing all the crap in the box, which normally when we do these videos, by that point that I get to where we stuff stuff in the box, I'm already like, okay, it's done. Now we just stuff all this crap in the box and turn it on and see if it works. There is a little bit of a, oh great, I got a touch of scuff on that from sliding it around on my workbench. Great. It's barely noticeable, only in the right light. There we go. That's tightened to the correct amount of foot-pounds. That's a joke, by the way. Our output jack, it'll go over here, so we'll put that there. Now I cannot tighten these yet because I will skunk myself if I do, so we'll just set that on there and give it just enough to catch the threads, because when we need to manipulate the other one in there, it's going to be a wrestling match. Put the LED in position. Try to put the input jack into position, see if it'll go. And of course the output jack's kind of in the way a little bit. That's why we didn't put it in very tight, so we can kind of manipulate it around a little bit. And that's the thing that drives me bananas, and I have no idea if you can see it in there. When you get these jacks in, even if you get them in right, they're really close to kissing, if you will. They're really close to touching. So that can be a potential issue. But all right. I don't see anything touching on those at this point. That looks okay. So that looks okay. We'll turn these snug. Try not to crank the daylights out of them, because if we break something else, we're going to be mad. The other thing I'm trying to be cautious of is while I'm working around here, I don't want to tear any of these wires off or loose or anything. And that's one of the reasons I kind of tug on them as I put them in or work on them earlier, because I want to make sure they're really soldered down well and I'm not going to have them popping back. That fits in this enclosure beautifully, but there's not that much stuff. So before we do the final seal up, we'll either cover this or this with some kind of insulator. We'll probably just use electric tape. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. So we'll put this on there. And we'll plug things in and see if it's ready to rock or it's ready to come back apart and get troubleshot. So I'll test it quickly. We'll do a real demo at the end of this. I'm just going to test it quick, and then if it's good, then we'll work from there. Okay, so it has not been tested sonically to see how it actually sounds, but it's been noise tested. You know, basically the finger on the input jack, put some noise through it, and it's a booster pedal. So if I get, you know, noise in, and then I turn it on, I should get louder noise out. And I do, so that's good. That's our volume jack, or our volume knob, noisy knob. Called it the noisy knob, that's good. And that actually sits on there, fits on there beautifully, but there is a screw to tighten, so. Magnetic screwdriver picking up all my clipped leads. Give that a little half a turn so she doesn't fall off under any circumstances. And then we'll tape up the bottom. So just cover the bottom with tape. I know you guys are like, we already saw the demo. I bet like probably half of the audience doesn't stick around for the builds, but that's okay. That's why we put the demos first, because people are usually bored. So that's basically the procedure, just cover it with tape so it can't ground out under any circumstances. Because grounding out would be bad. And then something would burn up or fail, or it would stop working. Usually if it grounds out, it doesn't actually burn up, it just doesn't work. And that would suck if you're in the middle of something where you actually needed it. And of course, I'm sure somebody at home is probably going, well, if you needed it, why would you build that? You should just go buy some name brand pedal, whatever. But because those never fail. Trust me, everything has a service department. You know, I know Kurt Cobain said that Boss pedals could probably withstand a bomb attack, and yeah, they're durable, but ain't nothing perfect. You've seen probably on other channels people who have taken apart and repaired stop boxes that have had parts that have gone bad over the years, or something that has had a loose solder joint. That's a very common one. Loose solder joints on things that are soldered by machines are very common. And the only other thing sticking out over here, these are just a couple of grounds, and since our body of this unit represents ground anyway, then covering those two really isn't going to get me anywhere, to my knowledge, that I can tell. So I'll just tuck that in there like that. Put the lid on the bottom. Put on 4 screws. And we'll have to pick up the guitar and test this against the significantly more expensive counterpart. I honestly have no idea how this is going to sound with music piped through it, because I just piped noise through. it. And where is the screwdriver? It's up here. I know somebody at home is just waiting for me to twist that screw head off so you can watch me go bonkers like I did the other day with the wah pedal. I'm yet to have these screws flop on me. These screws into these chassis. But I have had one of these bodies where the hole that the screw is supposed to go into was a little bit too wide. That didn't go so well, so we put a little drop of a forming epoxy in there, and that took care of it. Once in a while you get one of these boxes that they were having a bad day at the factory. I'll put our feet on there, which they kindly supplied with our kit, and it's just come a little bit off the screw. So just in case we ever have to take it back apart, we can. But this is a true bypass boost pedal. Fun. I think that's cool. So we'll have to figure out what name to christen it with. Just, you know, give it a name. Something, you know, here or there or whatever. That's a cool purple flake finish. Oh well, let's go hook it up and see how it sounds. Well, actually, this part of the video will be over because I'm going to put the demo first, because that's all that half of you people care about. Nobody wants to make stuff anymore, they just want to buy it. Grr. Whatever. Alright, thanks, bye.